John Jones cursed the 205-pound division when he left. So as I was starting this video, I was thinking about what I was going to title it, and I was split down the middle between ice cold for Makhachev or early stoppage as a joke about the Volkanovski stoppage, you know? And I don't know which one I'm going to do, but bottom line is that was unbelievable. If you want to, you feel like you're getting questioned if you're really the best 155er in the world, and they're like, here, we're going to give you the exact same guy again. Let's just see how you do. I would say that would remove all doubt. And that right there is the risk that you take if you're Volkanovski to take this fight on short notice. Bottom line, am I saying that in the very first round that what happened was that Volkanovski took the fight on short notice, and that's why he got caught with that head kick that clearly Islam and his team had film studied and then developed? I guarantee they drilled that exact kick 10,000 times, a million times, obviously, because Volkanovski didn't do anything wrong. He defended that kick like he defends kicks. He was right here. And they went right above it, straight to the temple, shin, that glancing blow off the temple that is a devastating, devastating shot, takes away the equilibrium. And, it's like, but at the same time, he didn't have a full camp. Volkanovski did not have a full camp, and he didn't fault that at all. He did say some very interesting things on the microphone that I want to remember to talk about related to he wants to stay active because he said he gets a little bit heady, or he gets heady if he's not active. And that is very notable, related to something that we talk about on this channel all the time. So I want to make sure that I remember to talk about that. But when it comes to Islam Makhachev, I don't think that there's any question who's the guy. You know what I mean? He just head kick knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. Okay? Widely considered the number one pound for pound in the world, and he just head kick knocked him out in the first round. And my point about the first round is that really does it takes away that short, he took it on short notice. It's the first round. He's not tired. He got a head kick knocked out in the first round. That's as legit as you're going to get, So congratulations to Islam. And then, and afterwards he's like, he tells everybody to stop cheering, and he brought attention to the, a lot of the atrocities and Khamzat had a great speech too. I really loved Khamzat's speech, I respect all these guys that are bringing attention to what's going on over there, because bottom line, like I've said in my other video that I did about this, it's like, I don't care which side you're on. If I'm watching clips of dead children, right, then you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to get into the weeds about why this, why that. I could just say, this is awful, dude. You know what I mean? And I like how they both did that, and they didn't, and especially Khamzat was just like, I don't care, what religion you are, etc. It's like, I really dug that speech. I think Khamzat has made an official fan of me today, even though, man, I wanted Kamaru to win that fight. I wanted Kamaru to win that fight so bad. It's so gangster to come in there, Abu Dhabi, short notice against Khamzat. Incredible performance. I already did an entire video about that, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about that fight also. But coming back to Islam Makhachev, and then we'll talk about, I want to talk about the Johnny Walker thing as well, what happened there, because I think I could shed some light on why that happened. Because I talked to a couple people who seemed to not to have really understood what happened, and I understand what happened. I'm not saying it was right, but I understand what happened there. But yeah, so Islam, who does he fight? Does he fight Charles Oliveira, Gaethje? I think almost certainly they're going to do Charles Oliveira. And if the UFC is going to do this fair, in my opinion, they should do that in Brazil. I didn't think it was fair in the first place for Charles to have to fight Islam again in Abu Dhabi. Now, he gets a cut over his eye. They put in Volkanovski. It is what it is. But Charles has earned that shot. And I think at the very least neutral territory. But I think you do it in Brazil. I think you do that fight in Brazil, especially just because Islam is such a monster, dude. He is such a monster. And if you look at how, obviously there's more to comparing the Volkanovski fights to one another. But you see how hard of a time Islam had with Volkanovski on enemy territory versus in Abu Dhabi. And like, listen, I'm not saying that this is necessarily like a huge factor in the fight, but it was a factor in the fight. And so Charles has already done it on there in Brazil. Charles Oliveira trying to take out Islam with Islam's status where it is now. Let's go, son. Like, let's go. Let's get that fight in Brazil. It'd be amazing. I don't see how anybody could pick against Islam in, I mean, like, no matter, like, you, honestly, if, at this point, if they're like, yeah, Islam is going to have to fight this guy and this guy back to back, same night, I might pick him, dude. He is unreal, man. Now, this guy who's always known for his grappling now is a head kick knockout threat. And after being knocked out, he now has he's the hardest guy to punch and kick in the UFC. He has the best striking defensive stats in the UFC. Think about that, dude. So Khabib went undefeated, right? Islam has this one blemish on his record, and he got starched that one time. And since then, he became the best at the gap in his game. He made that into his greatest strength. It's incredible, dude. That's real champ shit right there. So congratulations, Islam. Congratulations, Kamaru and Khamzat. I mean, dude, that's like, it's tough for Volkanovski. Actually, that's what I'm going to talk about next, actually. So Volkanovski takes the fight on short notice. Huge risk, dude. Huge risk, because you know what? He would have gotten this fight again. He didn't have to take this on short notice. This isn't like Sean Strickland, stepping in for Dricus du Plessis and grabbing a hold of the opportunity that presented itself due to circumstance. Volkanovski just had to wait. He would have gotten another title shot. I mean, assuming that he continued to win at 45. He would have gotten to fight Islam. He took it on short notice, and he said straight up into the microphone after the fight, he said, "Keep me busy. I get heady when I'm not fighting." So what does that mean? It means he said, "I don't do well when I'm not fighting." That is something that speaks right back to what I talk about all the time with guys when they retire, because they have such a unique life, where it's like fight coming up, training for that fight, all focus on this upcoming fight. And then, win or lose, and then up and coming, and a lot of how their mindset has to do with whether or not they won their last fight and how they feel they did, so their status in the organization, etc. But when you take that away, like when guys get injured, they're unemployed. You know what I mean? Like they're just an unemployed person. You might think of them as this like incredible gladiator, but there's a reason why these guys are so good, and it's because they thrive in that environment. And when you pull that environment away, they don't do well psychologically. And so Volkanovski, that's really interesting to me actually about Volk. I mean, I guess it's not surprising. He's such like an intense guy. He needs like a challenge to be in front of him. But, you just think about Volkanovski saying that it's hard for him. And then imagine what it's like for guys who are not world champions and have lost 5 fights in a row and now go into the oblivion of no more fights ever and no transferable skills in the rest of their life. It's like, it's super, super heavy, dude. Even guys who have saved a lot of dough, dude, they still go into oblivion, So anyway, that is what it is. But he's a savage. I can't wait to watch him fight Topuria. It'll be really interesting to see, because Topuria is an animal. If Volkanovski comes back from this and beats Topuria, that'll be wildly impressive. Wildly impressive. Yeah, so that's what it is. Now, let me talk about the Johnny Walker fight and what happened there, and then I'll go back to the Khamzat fight a little bit more. So here's what happened, okay? This is what actually happened in that fight. Obviously, everybody knows that Ankalaev threw the illegal strike, and which, by the way, can I tell you exactly what's going on in Dana's mind right now? Like, just like the brass? They don't like Ankalaev, okay? Like, these guys don't like Ankalaev. If you guys haven't picked up on that, Dana must have had some kind of interaction with Ankalaev that he didn't like, Because you could tell, like, when Dana really doesn't like a guy, you can tell. He doesn't make a secret of it. And he does not like Ankalaev. I don't know what happened there, but he very clearly doesn't like him. And he goes into this fight. he throws a ridiculously obvious illegal knee. Like, why? I mean, unless someone thinks that he wasn't aiming for his face, seemed very clear that he was aiming for his face. And I don't know why he would have thought that Johnny, I mean, maybe because honestly, okay, so if I'm giving him benefit, maybe because Johnny's so tall, right? Maybe because Johnny's so tall, he didn't realize that he had his knee and his hand on the ground. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. Okay, so benefit of the doubt, because Johnny's so tall, he thought where he was that he was on his way standing up. Let's just say that that's the case. Or just say he's an idiot and didn't realize that he was down. Either way, he throws an illegal strike to the face on a downed opponent, a knee to the face on a downed opponent. And Johnny Walker immediately stopped, ref, give him time. The doctor comes over and goes, hey, are you okay? He's doing concussion protocol, all right? That's what he's in there doing, concussion protocol. And this is, even though it might seem like he's just doing a kind of a random sequence of things, that's not what the case is. He's asking him questions to determine whether or not the guy's brain is nuked, right? So he says, are you okay? Johnny Walker says, yeah, I'm okay. So at that point, he starts asking concussion protocol questions like, do you know where you are? Do you know what round it is? And Johnny Walker, didn't know, or at least didn't answer, or I'm pretty sure Johnny Walker said, what round is it? He asked him what country he's in, and he didn't answer. Now, it is very possible that because they started booing, he might not have heard him, right? He might not have heard him. And I don't even know how well he speaks English, to be perfectly honest with you. He might not have even understood the guy. It's loud. He doesn't speak English that well. The guy's screaming, and so he starts not answering. And so, the doctor obviously was quick. I mean, it was the wrong call, obviously. But the reason that happened is because he wasn't answering the doctor's concussion protocol questions. He was just straight up not answering. He wasn't answering. And this doctor seems to be an idiot that didn't realize, it's loud, dude. Like, it's extremely loud. If Johnny Walker asked what round it is, though, I mean, you could see how the doctor would be like, are you? But, dude, fight doctors, since when, if there's, since when do they lean towards, let's be super careful? Like, that, it's rarely the case. And it was really, dude, that got real close to getting ugly afterwards. Both guys were so heated. But with Dana, going back to the point I was going to make, I guarantee you that Dana is literally just like, I hate this guy. I hate this guy. He already doesn't like the guy. And then the outcome of the next fight that he has, where Dana told him he had the worst performance ever last fight, which I was kind of shocked by that take of Dana's, with the Blachowicz fight. And he got in the press conference. I'm like, Uncle Live clearly was just smashing, Blachowicz at the end of the fight. And Dana was like, I don't know. He's like, terrible performance. I walked out. He said he walked out. And then his next fight in the first round throws an illegal strike and ends up being a no contest. Now, Dana can say, oh, whatever. I mean, people can say, oh, the doctor made the mistake. Dana doesn't care. Dana doesn't care. He's like, it's another problem with this fucking guy. So Uncle Live did himself no favors with the organization today at all. So it's bad luck. But what are you going to do? So I just did a full video on the Khamzat and Kamaru fight, but I want to say another thing that I realized I forgot. So one thing that I thought about that fight that I didn't mention in the other video, and let me just start like this. My personal opinion, it was 10-8 Khamzat, 10-9 Kamaru, and then the third round is a toss-up, dude. It's a toss-up because Kamaru was absolutely winning the exchanges on the feet. But then Khamzat got the takedown, but then Kamaru escaped and then had 30 seconds where he got, he got the better of it. I mean, it was really, 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 really close round. And so if it did go to Kamaru, then that's where you get the 28-28. You can easily defend that. You could easily defend the 28-28. Like, that judge was not out of their mind. Like, that, you could defend that very easily. That said, if they would have given Kamaru the fight, like let's say they went 10-9 Khamzat, then 10-9, 10-9 Kamaru, I mean, I'm sure that would have been a tough pill for people to swallow, because it seemed as though Khamzat, it's just one of those things like where if someone takes a guy down and they're in, going from dominant position to dominant position on the ground, it just feels like they're dominating. But if you really objectively look at how that fight went, Kamaru absolutely, clearly was a much better striker. Exactly what I said. I mean, honestly, I'm actually not like, I'm not like gloating on this. I'm just saying like this is exactly what I said. Exactly what I said about this fight was like, it's if Kamaru can keep Khamzat from taking him down when he's stuck on the feet, you got to pick Kamaru. You know, I said 60-40. I was predicting Kamaru, and it 100% hinged on his ability to not let Khamzat take him down. You know, and like I said in the other video, the first. So this is the main point that I wanted to make that I didn't talk about in the other video. So the first round was incredible, right? Incredible. Kamaru's ability to defend in a defensive position like that for that long in the first round was so impressive. And then I said, and then he came out and won the second round. Well, here's what I forgot to say in my other video is Khamzat, in my opinion, made a large tactical error in that fight, okay? Because Kamaru, you know, like now the narrative is, wow, Kamaru was incredibly resilient and didn't allow himself to be demoralized. You know, he came out, won the second round after such an incredible, you know, like being under that much pressure for 4.5 minutes in round one. Well, Khamzat let him stand and pick his shots for the first like 3.5, 4 minutes of that round. He didn't even attempt a shot. In my opinion, that was an error. Now, it's totally possible that he was gassed and he has one. I mean, listen, dude, if people look at guys like, oh, the guy never gets gassed. Okay, well, yeah, they have great cardio, but they also are great at managing their cardio. You know what I mean? So like, as an example, the way that, you know, like a regular person does a round, you're exhausted, you go and then, you know, someone's like, you want to go, you're like, no, I'm going to sit one. And that's how you recover, is sitting out. Well, these guys like Khamzat that are in cardio shape like that, they recover while they're fighting. You know what I mean? Like he can just stand there. He can actually be standing on his feet, exchanging. And that's him recovering. That's him like recharging his cardio. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because they prep the body for a sprint, you know? Like he's prepped to sprint to where if he stands back and picks shots for 2 to 3 minutes, even though he's fighting, but he's not grappling, like that's him recharging his cardio. So maybe that's what he was doing. But if that's not what he was doing and he was just kind of tactically like, okay, now let's just stand and trade, that was a huge error because it let Kamaru back into the fight. You know, if he would have shot in the first minute of the second round and successfully taken Kamaru down, that's over. You know what I mean? Like the fight's going to be over. But anyway, incredibly impressive fight. And God, Khamzat's grappling is absolutely unreal. And that ankle pick takedown, like if he just gets one, it's like, you know how like when I was talking about Dylan Dennis recently, because I did all those Logan and Dylan fights, and I was saying that in MMA, if Dylan even gets his hand on your wrist, it's over. That's what I meant. Is just like that's exactly what I meant. Was like if a guy like guys like that, and I'm not like Dylan is actually that vicious of a grappler. You know, I mean, I don't know how it would go in like with Khamzat in a pure grappling match, but I'm saying like versus just regular MMA guys, that is how dominant Dylan Dennis is. And so it's guys like that, like they just literally just if they grab a wrist, it is literally a matter of time before they've anaconded you, taken you down, and strangled you or broken something. Just like that, you know? And so like, but with Khamzat against Kamaru to still be like that, if he could just get his cup, you know, if he could just C-grip around their ankle against Kamaru, he's still going to come up and get, I mean, it's just unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. So, okay, so what's next for everybody? Let's talk about that. So Volkanovski obviously is going to go fight Topuria, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he bounces back from this. He seems like a very mentally resilient guy. I don't think this is going to like rattle him too much. But Topuria is a really tough challenge. If Topuria does end up pulling off an upset win, then you're like, okay, let's talk about what Volkanovski's head is, you know, where his head's at. Because this one you can excuse, but taking a head kick knockout, you know, it can mess around with your head a lot. But so Islam will fight Charles. The idea that he's going to fight Gaethje, I don't agree. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, I'm not saying that like I don't want to see that fight. I do. But my opinion, they're going to do the Charles fight. They'll do the Charles fight. I mean, one thing that I have an incredible record predicting is that what fights the UFC is going to make. You know, like that I am just fucking dialed into what, like I can just almost always get that right. I would bet my life that they're going to do the Charles fight next. And like I said, I want to see it in Brazil. Khamzat is going to get a title shot against Strickland, and Kamaru, that's the big question mark, is Kamaru. Where is Kamaru left after that performance? Because he's one of the best 185 pounders in the world. Absolutely no question. Absolutely no question. I don't think there is any reason for him to go back down to 170 now. Like, I want him to stay at 85 because even though he lost, like I said, he is clearly a top contender at 85. And that's a whole new slew of people that he can take on. He didn't look slow. He didn't look beat down. He looked like a champion, an absolute stone champion. So, yeah, that's what I would like to see from him. You know, Johnny Walker and Ankalaev, dude, let me just say this. The 205-pound division is fucking cursed. It's cursed. Like, I think it's time for us to start talking about the fact that Jon Jones left 205, and it has been absolutely cursed since he left. It's been cursed. Jon Jones cursed the 205-pound division. Think about it. Think about it. Seriously, think about it. Think about the lineage of champions. So he got Yuri Prohaska. He rips his shoulder off, right? Then you do a vacant belt between Ankalaev and Blachowicz, and then what happens? A draw. So then you do Teixeira against Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill wins. Then Jamal Hill tears his Achilles. And then you have another number one contender fight. You got Yuri, who's going to be fighting Alex Pereira for the belt coming up. And then you got the number one contender fight coming right behind it. And you have this illegal strike that leads to a no contest. Jon Jones cursed the 205-pound division when he left. Straight up. Anyway, that is what I've got. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I'm going to be in Cancun, like I said, next week. So, I will certainly be putting up videos, but I might put a lot up in members only, just because I can't just put low quality shit out on the channel, on the main channel. So I'll go live. I'll go live a fair amount, but yeah, I'll be light on just straight up videos. I'll put a bunch into members only though, just because it doesn't affect the algorithm. That's what I'm saying. Is like if I put out shit content and it's not as good, or not as good. It's just, it doesn't look the same, right? Like it's like kind of ghetto. I'm filming in like a condo. Like that hurts the main channel brand. But members only are all people who are just fans of the channel. And so obviously they don't give a shit if like the background's not the same. So yeah, I'll put some stuff in there. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you for the support.